Welcome back to today's Construction Explainer. Today, we're diving into a crucial, yet, honestly, really misunderstood phase of putting together a building. When you watch a site, there's always a ton of heavy machinery and moving parts. But some of the absolute most important work happens when it looks like, well, nothing is happening at all. We're talking about the vital art of concrete curing.
So let's start right off the bat with a question you've almost certainly asked yourself. Why on earth do we pour water all over fresh concrete? You've probably seen it. A brand new slab gets poured, it's looking perfectly smooth and solid, and then bam, workers are up there literally flooding it with hoses. It seems totally backward, doesn't it? Like, why make something soaking wet when the whole point is for it to dry out and get hard? Well, it comes down to a massive misconception. It's so easy to look at a freshly smoothed pour and think, all right, great, the hard work is done. But actually, scratch that. The reality is that the exact moment the pour is finished, the most critical phase of strength building is just beginning. The pour is definitely not the finish line. It's the starting gun. And this brings us to concrete curing. Basically, it's the absolutely essential process of giving the cement continuous moisture over time. You see, cement doesn't dry the way paint does. It actually hardens through a chemical reaction called hydration. And, you guessed it, hydration desperately needs water to work. If the cement can't chemically bind with water, it literally cannot reach its full structural strength. It's like you're feeding the concrete the exact fuel it needs to bulk up. Now, because it's an invisible chemical process, people sometimes think they can cut corners. But skipping this, or even just rushing it, puts your entire building at serious risk. If you just leave fresh concrete exposed to the hot sun and wind, all that internal moisture evaporates way too fast. You end up starving that hydration process, and the structural integrity of the whole project just plummets.
So, what does that actually look like in the real world? Well, improper curing basically invites three major disasters into your build. First, because it shrinks too fast, you get structural cracks, ugly, deep cracks. Second, a huge drop in overall strength. It might look like a solid block of concrete, but trust me, it won't hold up like one. And third, all those internal weaknesses mean the lifespan of the building is drastically shortened. You're looking at heavy, expensive maintenance way sooner than you ever should be.
Okay, knowing all those risks, what's the timeline here? How many days do we actually need to keep this concrete wet to dodge those structural failures? Are we talking a quick afternoon spray, or is this a month-long ordeal?
The magic number, as a strict rule of thumb in the industry, is 7. You've got to keep it continuously wet for a minimum of 7 full days. This is the critical window. This is when the most rapid strength development happens. The concrete is super vulnerable during this first week, so keeping it soaked isn't just a suggestion, it's absolutely mandatory for the building's safety. But, hey, keep in mind, 7 days is just the baseline. It's the floor, not the ceiling. If you're dealing with a massive, complex structure, extreme weather, or certain modern blended cements, you might actually need 14 days. Or even longer. That's exactly why you always rely on the direct recommendation of your site engineer. They know the specific mix and the site conditions, so they'll know the precise curing timeline you need. At the end of the day, doing this right, never rushing that curing process, is what guarantees the strength and durability of a home for generations. For more essential construction explainers just like this, make sure to follow and subscribe to RSK Builders and Herbalizers. But before we wrap up, I'll leave you with this. If a building's literal foundation requires this much patience and constant care just to reach its true strength, what other foundations in life might we be rushing without even realizing it? Think about that for a second. Thanks for tuning in, and I'll catch you in the next explainer.